Hey, it's Zinni. Can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Okay. Okay. We can try it this way. So you're ready when you are?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Folks, we are with Carolyn Moos, and did I mispronounce your last name correctly, Carolyn?
Yes, it's Carolyn Moos.
Okay, cool. And Carolyn, without any further ado, because I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch with your schedule, but first of all, how are you doing?
Um, Very emotional. There's a lot of emotions that are almost conflicting to some degree. I support someone. I'm so proud of someone. Obviously, my former fiance, and the amount of courage that that takes. And then there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of misunderstanding about 8 years and what that represented. But um, it's a lot of mixed emotions. Like I said, they're kind of North Pole, South Pole situation where they're just polar opposites. But I think at the end of the day, it's about open communication and honesty. I really don't feel this discussion is about someone's orientation for me personally because I accept all people, but it is about honesty. It's about honesty with yourself, honesty with the people that love you, and honesty with the world. And that allows you to be your full self. And the more you're your full self, the more you can give to the world. And for all the people that are so afraid of being accepted that they misrepresent themselves, it can be very, very confusing. Very confusing for the individual, for people that love him or her, and don't suppress it. That's the thing. Like, don't bring someone through your life for a long period of time trying to be something you're not.
When did you?
And it takes a lot of courage to be able to do what Jason's doing, and he's going to be a huge pioneer, and hopefully we can change the world and how people view each other through everything that's transpiring.
All the people I talk to, all women in preparing for this, want to know, did you have any inkling or any idea or any hint that Mr. Collins was gay or different in any kind of way while you were with him for 8 years, was it?
Yes, I think that the biggest indication to answer your question is that his twin brother didn't know, his parents didn't know, I didn't know, his teammates didn't know. He's opened up about it tremendously, but every single day he was basically convincing himself that that was the life he was supposed to lead. And I don't know, because I've never had to do that. I've never, I'm straight. I want to be married. I want to have children, and I've never had to put on a mask every morning. So someone must you get really good at it. You get really good at playing a role that you think everybody wants to be played,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, it's hard. It's just hard to imagine how that would be on a daily basis.
In 2009, my friends have this view that you were at the altar, you all were getting ready to get married, and he just sort of walked away. Can you give them a picture of what happened when he broke off your engagement?
Actually, it was not at the altar. It was about a month, just about a month before the wedding was planned, and it was a conversation. It was definitely a sit-down, intense, emotional, 2 to 3 day, endless conversations. And it was very private. We didn't pull anybody else in while we were going through that. And obviously, once it was clear that we weren't going to have a wedding, everything was planned. Obviously the invites and the family members, the friends, everything, they had to be informed. So.
That's hard. Did you, I don't know how to ask this, in retrospect, okay, well, when he talked to you, I guess it was last week, was it, when he told you he was gay? How did that come about? Did he call you, or were you visiting, or?
Yeah, so he actually called me on Sunday of this past weekend, and I work a lot on Sundays, so by the time I got home, I had seen his missed call, and I said, yeah, I'll listen to that first thing in the morning. And so I listened to it Monday morning, and it said, Carolyn, I need you to sit down. Please call me back. I have something very important I need to say to you and talk about. So I called him back Monday morning of this past week, and he opened up, and that's where the conversation began.
Did he say, I'm sorry, I did this to you, or words to that effect? Or maybe that's not the right question to phrase it way, but, well, you did he apologize in any kind of way?
We're going to make some time this weekend and, spend some time with each other, and I think that hopefully with a few distractions, there's going to be more kind of connection, and I think right now there's been so much focus on how this information is very, I guess, bold and courageous, which I definitely support all of that.
Right. Yeah.
It has the ability to change the world, but I think that also can take away with our ability to connect with each other and to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and be sympathetic and realize what this means for somebody else. And I'm very capable of sitting here and saying, I care so much about people accepting him, and I would protect him from any negative commentary that's going on right now because I totally support him, and I want him to have an amazing, happy life. And then there's the flip side of the equation that my amazing, happy life was going to be with him,
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that we spoke about and we planned for 8 years. So it's hard, I think, but any human being has the capability of putting themselves in somebody else's shoes and to say, wow, what would that really feel?
Yeah. It's sort of the 800-pound gorilla question, but do you wonder, with that new information, if maybe he was at any time in your relationship unfaithful and you didn't know it?
I trust him completely, and I also trust that, when I ask the things that I want to know about this, he's going to be very honest with me, and he will be. So, those things will keep between Jason and I, of course, but he's a very honest person. The irony being he wasn't being, honest with who he really was, but I don't know what those factors were, like fear of acceptance, et cetera, but, at this point, because he's honest in who he is, I absolutely expect, honesty and everything else, and I know he's a very protected, honest person when it comes to sharing information. By us, if we share stuff, it will be very transparent. So
you didn't lose contact over those 4 years. You were in constant touch, obviously, right? I mean, it sounds like you were great friends, and this is sort of like all of a sudden a bump, a large bump, obviously a boulder in the road. Am I reading that correctly?
Can you say that one more time?
It sounds like you all were in constant contact after he decided not to get married. You were great friends, and so all of a sudden there's this sort of boulder in the road. If I characterize that correctly.
No, actually, really gave him a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're trying to find yourself in others, and I think that's a natural. My mom's a psychologist. You want to better understand yourself.
After the tone.
Distance.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So with that being said, basic conversations, maybe over the holidays or things like that, but going from speaking to your fiance every day, asking how did your day go, and being under the same roof as them, and sharing your entire, daily, weekly, monthly process with them, and going from that to not being able to, talk at all, really, because it's, now I know, but I didn't know at the time, it was because he really was trying to find himself, and try to come up with some answers and come up with how can I possibly, be genuine and kind of be straightforward, with Carolyn when I talk to her next.
So let's talk a little bit about you too. Right now you're doing your fitness trainer. You've been with training with a number of athletes. I think I saw, was that Patrick Willis on your website?
No, I think a few people get confused about who's on my website. I do train elite athletes. I've trained, NBA players, NFL, MLB players in power yoga. I'm a huge advocate of yoga. I'm 6'5" myself, so it's very unusual you have a female 6'5" yoga instructor, and it's nice to be able to relate to people, having been a pro athlete myself. I'm also really into nutrition, designing menu plans for elite athletes. I also don't drink alcohol. I speak to teenagers about those choices often. Love to be a role model and really get in there with the teens and talk to them about exercise, nutrition, not drinking, and pretty much who I am as a person. But I also work with type 2 diabetics, and I work with obese patients and elderly, so I don't limit the number of people I can help and kind of the vast array of backgrounds and personalities. And I think for me, there's no one category that's more rewarding than another. If I help a child achieve their dream of playing at the collegiate level and have a scholarship, I feel just as great than if I'm working with some NBA player who's going to be in the league, another 5 years. And I feel just as great as if I work with a type 2 diabetic and I help take them off of insulin through nutrition and exercise. All of those things are emotionally so rewarding. So I really enjoy what I do.
And you met Jason at Stanford, right? Were you dating at Stanford?
We didn't. We were good friends. We had a similar circle of friends. And obviously, you name it, we ran into each other. We were in the weight room together, practice, school, all different contexts. It was actually the year after graduated Stanford, prior to me kind of going overseas. I was coming back from a trip, and we reconnected, and we, pretty much said, why did we never date? And it started from there. So. Wow.
That's amazing. It's an amazing journey. And on your website, I have to ask, you said you wanted to freeze your eggs. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a backup plan to life, I am doing it just to have options. My plan A is to find, my future husband and to have kids naturally, and that is plan A. And I was kind of a private person, so I was wondering, if people want to know about this, but someone from Inside Edition asked me about it, and I said, yes, actually I am. And that's planned for the end of May this year, just to have that option. And I think it really empowers women to share that information. I was thinking, I could withhold it, but this is a great platform to be able to share this with the world and to be able to say, no matter what you've gone through in your life, you can always plan to have children when you're ready to have them. And, I'm ready to have them now, but if I want to have more than 3 children, I want to be able to have that option, So I'm actually really excited about it, and I'm really excited to still have time in my life to achieve everything that I wanted to achieve as far as having a family and children. And in that process, I'm sure I'll find, the right man and all those beautiful things to be my husband. And, and plan A will probably happen. Plan B is just in case. It's an emergency situation.
Whatever you do, don't do Match.com. It's.
I think that, for me, my friends know me best, and, I start with friends of friends. That's always a good place to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I could not agree more. Just, are you going to the big game, by the way? Will we see you there?
Which one is the big game?
Cal Stanford. Come on, you can't be playing against Cal. You're a Stanford woman. There you go. I
don't know if that's considered the biggest game, but potentially yes.
Well, Caroline, I know you've got a lot of things to do, and it sounds like you're holding up really well. I think, unless miss something, but I think you'll find that guy. I'd be very surprised if you didn't. But does it change at all your idea of, you think you've got that person and maybe you really don't really know anybody? Does it make you a bit more insecure? I mean, given my background, I am definitely insecure. So I just ask.
No, actually, I'm very I'm very unique because I'm 6'5" and I'm extremely health conscious, and I hate to say it, but maybe the things that I value are pretty rare to find. So that's a beautiful thing, and I
Yeah.
think it's the more you know yourself, the more you know what works, and I think someone who has loved before, they know how to love again, and what you experience in your past is not brought into your future. It only shapes the person you're bringing into the future to some degree. So, no, I think it's good to be very confident in what life brings, and it's still time to write all the chapters I want to write. So my book is only, I don't know, 1/8 done, and I have a lot to work on. So I'm excited about that.
Are you writing a book about this experience?
I've started a journal for my personal processing, and I think that that's going to help me to emotionally, get through some things. And I think that in that process, there'll be a lot that I learn that maybe I was suppressing. And, from that, I think there's a lot that could be done to help the world with this experience, from both ends, both sides. I think Jason is a pioneer. I think that the world needs somebody like him to make substantial changes in how we see people. And then on my side, being a woman who was in this situation, I want to help other people that might be in that situation to not have to have their entire lives changed because of it. So I think there's a lot of positive things that could come out of us being who we are, And it's definitely bigger than two people. It's bigger than Jason. It's bigger than me. And that's the point of living, is to impact the world. So hopefully we can do something great with that.
And I'm sure you will. And I'll keep tabs on you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.